Good afternoon, everybody. I haven't got any slides today. I thought I'd just kind of take this opportunity really to talk you through what my career has been like so far. So I'm a little bit earlier in my career than Hannah, for example, but talk you through what my career has been like so far and how in the last couple of years that's led me into this space, which is weather and climate, but then with a big intersection with the energy sector as well. So there's lots of exciting opportunities for careers in this space. So similar to Hannah, really, for my A levels, I took very sciencey subjects. So I did maths, further maths, chemistry, and physics, just because I really enjoyed those subjects. And I couldn't really pick what I wanted to focus on when I went to university. So I ended up studying natural sciences at Cambridge, where I got to choose a real breadth of science subjects throughout my degree. So I really enjoyed the opportunity to go to university and spend a little bit of time figuring out at a university level which of these subjects I was most interested in. And it kept it varied and meant I didn't have to tie myself down too quickly, which was very nice at the time. So in the end, I specialized in chemistry, which is what I was really interested in. It was the modules that I enjoyed, and it was also something that I was fairly good at still. So I ended up specializing in chemistry, which doesn't really immediately shout out to leading to a career in weather and climate. So I've taken a few twists and turns along the way, I guess, which I'll talk you through. The other thing I would say about my undergrad degree was during the summers, I took the opportunity to apply for various internships. So I really still didn't know what I wanted to do eventually in my career. So I took a bit of an approach of not narrowing myself down too much, looking at the job boards, looking at adverts, looking at things distributed by the university or on LinkedIn, and just applying for the ones that I thought looked really interesting. And so that ended up letting me do 2 internships in those summers, which were quite different really, but looking back have both helped me enormously as I've come into the last few years. So the first one was at IBM, and that was actually in their cybersecurity team. So that was very much computing, coding, very heavy on the kind of the maths and computer side of things, which I really enjoyed. But then the next summer, I decided I wanted to try something like completely different. And I went and worked for the Department for Digital Culture, Media and Sport for 8 weeks in one of their policy teams. So again, it was still linked slightly to the cybersecurity side of things, but I ended up doing loads of work around policy, learning a lot about how things were implemented in government, how things were regulated. So that was really interesting as well. So I think it's really important that if opportunities like that come up, and you think, oh, that looks really interesting, that looks really fun, then try and take them. And normally they'll teach you skills and knowledge that you can use later on. So to finish off my integrated master's degree, I did my final year project in atmospheric chemistry. And this is really where I started to go down the weather and climate route. So we had a really interesting project modeling some chemistry in the atmosphere. And I was really excited by this project because suddenly I had all this science that I'd learned, and this was a really cool way to make it relevant and impactful and hopefully kind of convert it into something that would really make a difference. So I really enjoyed that. But then I was still had absolutely no idea what I wanted to do when I graduated, apart from the fact that I wanted to do something that was climate related. So I thought about a lot of things. I thought about applying for jobs in policy, similar to the internship I'd done. And I also applied to some PhD programs and eventually chose to come to Oxford to do my PhD. And here I'm based in the physics department, and my PhD focuses on seasonal forecasts. So trying to predict the weather a few months in advance. And it's a really cool place to be. I think doing a PhD is wonderful. and you get to interact with loads of different scientists from across different disciplines, especially in this kind of weather and climate side of things, and frequently collaborate with lots of people and focus on some really interesting problems. And because I focus on seasonal forecasts for my PhD, this is when I started really to overlap with the energy sector and realize how much energy actually intersects with weather and climate. So for those of you who aren't particularly familiar, I would break it down into three main ways that the energy sector crosses over with weather and climate. So the energy sector and lots of different companies will use short-term weather forecasts. And this is for things like predicting storms and working out when there's going to be power outages, what the power generation will look like for the next few days, so we can plan how we generate our electricity. And then in the medium term, a season ahead or a few months ahead, the weather forecasts are really important for planning how much energy demand there will be. So if the winter is going to be really cold, we know that there's going to be a lot more demand for gas that winter as people try and heat their homes. And also really important for supply, because again, if it's going to be really windy, hopefully we're going to get loads of wind power, and that starts to alleviate some of the issues with the supply. And then, as Hannah mentioned, the longer timescales are also really important, and this goes for insurance, it goes for energy that I'm interested in, and it goes for all sectors at the moment as well, I think. Climate projections and working out how these sectors will reach net zero is a really important topic and a really cool thing to work on. So, and I think the energy sector has obviously an extremely large role to play in that sense, because a large proportion of our carbon emissions come from the generation of electricity. And so the energy sector has a really large role to play in converting to renewable energy. And then weather and climate scientists have a really important role to play in ensuring that those renewable sources will continue to generate electricity and meet the demand that we have for energy. So as I was kind of starting my PhD, I realized all of these intersections. And again, I suppose I was driven really by trying to apply what I was doing day to day into something that felt like it would make a difference to people's lives. So I ended up working with a consultancy company called AFRI, and they sponsor my PhD, and I'm actually going to go and work for them for a few months in September. So that was a really nice way to not just be in the academic sphere, but have a little bit of a view over the private sector, and they get involved in advising on policy as well. So that's been really interesting, and I'm looking forward to working with them. And then I've also started working for the last year with RMETS in this energy science engagement fellow role. So the equivalent of Hannah, but for the energy sector. And so I think the thing that struck me most about that role is the breadth of people that we've interacted with. So we've been reaching out to loads of people in the energy sector, people who are just starting off in their careers, in the middle of their careers, or right at the end. And the routes that people have taken to get into weather and climate science, or particularly that in the energy sector, are really varied. So there's lots of different opportunities to join at different points. So I think I would probably finish with 3 pieces of advice, or things that I've learned in my fairly short career. The first thing I would say would be, if you're interested in things and opportunities present themselves, try and take all the opportunities that you're offered. It's never too late to change your career path. As I've explained here, people often take a very windy route to get to where they end up, and I'm still not sure I'm there yet. So you can always take a step back, have a think, and there'll be skills and knowledge that you've learned that you can apply to something slightly different. And weather and climate and energy is so multidisciplinary that whatever you're interested in, there'll be something for you. If you're interested in the hard science, the maths, the statistics, the policy, there will be something for you. And I think the final thing is to, if you have the opportunity to speak to people who are later on in their career and have mentors throughout, that's a really good thing to do. And then try and keep in touch with people and network when you can, because it can be really useful, even if you just see their updates on LinkedIn and see what everybody else is doing.